The weak man talks of burdens he can raise, the timid of giants he can confront, the poor of treasures he spends, the most humble peasant, in the height of his pride, calls himself Jupiter. Whether Noirtier understood the young man's indecision, or whether he had not full confidence in his docility, he looked uneasily at him. "What do you wish, sir?" asked Morel, "that I should renew my promise of remaining tranquil?" Noirtier's eye remained fixed and firm, as if to imply that a promise did not suffice, then it passed from his face to his hands. "Shall I swear to you, sir?" asked Maximilian. "Yes," said the paralytic with the same solemnity. Morel understood that the old man attached great importance to an oath. He extended his hand. "I swear to you, on my honor," said he, "to await your decision respecting the course I am to pursue with M. d'Épinay." "That is right," said the old man. "Now," said Morel, "do you wish me to retire?" "Yes." "Without seeing Mademoiselle Valentine?" "Yes." Morel made a sign that he was ready to obey. "But," said he, "first allow me to embrace you as your daughter did just now." Noirtier's expression could not be understood. The young man pressed his lips on the same spot, on the old man's forehead, where Valentine's had been. Then he bowed a second time and retired. He found outside the door the old servant, to whom Valentine had given directions. Morel was conducted along a dark passage, which led to a little door opening on the garden, soon found the spot where he had entered, with the assistance of the shrubs gained the top of the wall, and by his ladder was in an instant in the clover field where his cabriolet was still waiting for him. He got in it, and thoroughly wearied by so many emotions, arrived about midnight in the Rue Meslay, threw himself on his bed and slept soundly. Chapter 74. The Villefort family vault. 2 days after, a considerable crowd was assembled, towards 10 o'clock in the morning, around the door of M. de Villefort's house, and a long file of mourning coaches and private carriages extended along the Faubourg Saint-Honoré and the Rue de la Pépinière. Among them was one of a very singular form, which appeared to have come from a distance. It was a kind of covered wagon, painted black, and was one of the first to arrive. Inquiry was made, and it was ascertained that, by a strange coincidence, this carriage contained the corpse of the Marquis de Saint Méran, and that those who had come thinking to attend one funeral would follow too. Their number was great. The Marquis de Saint Méran, one of the most zealous and faithful dignitaries of Louis XVIII, and King Charles X, had preserved a great number of friends, and these, added to the personages whom the usages of society gave Villefort a claim on, formed a considerable body. Due information was given to the authorities, and permission obtained that the two funerals should take place at the same time. A second hearse, decked with the same funereal pomp, was brought to M. de Villefort's door, and the coffin removed into it from the post wagon. The two bodies were to be interred in the cemetery of Père Lachaise, where M. de Villefort had long since had a tomb prepared for the reception of his family. The remains of poor Renée were already deposited there, and now, after 10 years of separation, her father and mother were to be reunited with her. The Parisians, always curious, always affected by funereal display, looked on with religious silence while the splendid procession accompanied to their last abode two of the number of the old aristocracy, the greatest protectors of commerce and sincere devotees to their principles. In one of the morning coaches Beauchamp, Debray, and Chateau Renaud were talking of the very sudden death of the Marchioness. I saw Madame de Saint Méran only last year at Marseille, when I was coming back from Algiers, said Chateau Renaud. She looked like a woman destined to live to be 100 years old, from her apparent sound health and great activity of mind and body. How old was she? Franz assured me, replied Albert, that she was 66 years old. But she has not died of old age, but of grief. It appears that since the death of the Marquis, which affected her very deeply, she has not completely recovered her reason. But of what disease, then, did she die? Asked Debray. It is said to have been a congestion of the brain, or apoplexy, which is the same thing, is it not? Nearly. It is difficult to believe that it was apoplexy, said Beauchamp. Madame de Saint Méran, whom I once saw, was short, of slender form, and of a much more nervous than sanguine temperament, grief could hardly produce apoplexy in such a constitution as that of Madame de Saint Méran.
At any rate, said Albert, whatever disease or doctor may have killed her, M. de Villefort, or rather, Mademoiselle Valentine, or, still rather, our friend Franz, inherits a magnificent fortune, amounting, I believe, to 80,000 livres per annum.
And this fortune will be doubled at the death of the old Jacobin, Noirtier. That is a tenacious old grandfather, said Beauchamp. Tenacem proposish virum. I think he must have made an agreement with death to outlive all his heirs, and he appears likely to succeed. He resembles the old conventionalist of '93, who said to Napoleon, in 1814, "You bend because your empire is a young stem, weakened by rapid growth. Take the Republic for a tutor, let us return with renewed strength to the battlefield, and I promise you 500,000 soldiers, another Marengo, and a second Austerlitz." Ideas do not become extinct, sire, they slumber sometimes, but only revive the stronger before they sleep entirely. Ideas and men appeared the same to him. One thing only puzzles me, namely, how Franz d'Épinay will like a grandfather who cannot be separated from his wife. But where is Franz? In the first carriage, with M. de Villefort, who considers him already as one of the family. Such was the conversation in almost all the carriages. These two sudden deaths, so quickly following each other, astonished every one, but no one suspected the terrible secret which M. d'Avrigny had communicated, in his nocturnal walk to M. de Villefort. They arrived in about an hour at the cemetery. The weather was mild, but dull, and in harmony with the funeral ceremony. Among the groups which flocked towards the family vault, Chateau Renaud recognized Morel, who had come alone in a cabriolet, and walked silently along the path bordered with yew trees. "You hear?" said Chateau Renaud, passing his arms through the young captain's. "Are you a friend of Villefort's?" "How is it that I have never met you at his house?"